Hello friends, welcome back to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today we will be discussing Class 7 Geography NCERT Chapter 5 Water. Let's start. The sun's heat causes evaporation of water vapor. When the water vapor cools down, it condenses and forms clouds. Okay, so look at this picture. First one, this is for example, this is a river, and when the sun's heat causes evaporation, due to the heat of sun, the evaporation happens. Okay, evaporation happened, and it forms evaporation of the water vapor. Now, when the water vapor cools down, okay, when this water vapor cools down, it forms clouds. Okay, look at this picture. It forms clouds, and again these clouds may fall onto land or sea. Okay, these clouds may fall. Okay, may fall to the land or sea in the form of rain, snow, sleet, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so this is called precipitation. Okay, so this is a form of how rainfall happen. Okay, this is how precipitation happens. So look again. The sun's heat causes evaporation. Then when the water vapor cools down, okay, when the water vapor cools down, it condenses and form clouds. Okay, this water vapor condenses to form clouds. Now from there it may fall on the land or sea in the form of rain, snow or sleet. The process by which water continuously changes in its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land. Okay, the process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between ocean, atmosphere and land, and this process is known as water cycle. Okay, so what is water cycle? The process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land. Now, our earth is like a terrarium. The same water that existed centuries ago still exists today. Okay, maybe the same water that existed centuries ago are still exists today. For example, the water used to irrigate a field in Haryana may have flowed down the Amazon River 100 years ago. Okay. Now, the major source of fresh water are rivers, ponds, springs and glaciers. Okay, so these are the major sources of fresh water. The ocean bodies and the seas contain salty water. Okay, we know the ocean contains salt water. The water of the ocean is salty or saline as it contains large amount of dissolved salt. Okay, so the ocean or the water in the ocean or water in the sea contain salt. Okay, that is dissolved salt. So it is very saline in nature. Most of the salt is sodium chloride. Okay, so most of the salt contained in the ocean water or the sea water is sodium chloride, or that is the common table salt. Okay. Now, distribution of water bodies. We know 3/4 of our earth's surface is covered by water. Okay, the 3/4 of our earth's surface. Look at this picture. Okay, this blue color shows the water body or the oceans. Okay, so the 3/4 of our earth is covered by water, and most of the water is seen in oceans. Okay, that is 97.3% water. That also saline water. Now, ice caps 2%, groundwater 0.68, freshwater lakes, that's very minute amount. So then freshwater lakes, inland seas and salt lakes, atmosphere, rivers. Okay, so that is very minute amount. So the most of the number or the most water is seen in the ocean, that is 97.3%, but it's not consumable. Okay, because it's saline water. Now, what is salinity? Look at this. Salinity is the amount of salt in grams present in 1000 grams of water. The average salinity of the ocean is 35 parts per thousand. Okay, so the average ocean salinity is 35 parts per thousand. Now, so this from ice caps to river only 3%. Okay, only around 3% is fresh water. Okay, and most of the fresh water are seen in ice caps, and it's very hard to use this. Okay, so the amount of fresh water for the use of human are very low. Now, Ocean circulation. There is something magical about walking bare feet on the seashore. The wet sand on the beach, the cool breeze, the seabirds, the smell of the salt in the air, and the music of the waves. Everything is so fascinating. Unlike the calm waters of ponds and lakes, ocean water keeps moving continuously. Okay, so the ocean water keeps moving continuously. It never still. The movement that occur in ocean. Okay, so the movements of the ocean, the movements occur in the ocean can be broadly categorized as waves, tides, and currents. Okay, so there are mainly three types of ocean movement or the water movement in the ocean. The first one is waves, and second one is tide and current. Now, what is waves? Look at this. When the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternately, they are called waves. Okay, so what is waves? When the water on the surface of the ocean rises, okay, the surface water rises and falls alternatively. Okay, so this is called waves. When the when the water on the surface of the ocean rises and falls alternately. Okay, so this is called waves. During a storm, the winds blowing at very high speed from huge waves. Okay, so during a storm time, the winds blowing at very high speed form a huge waves. So the speed of wind or the speed of the wind may increase the wave length or waves blowing. Okay, look at this. When the winds blowing at very high speed form huge waves. Okay, so that causes huge waves. These may cause tremendous destruction. Okay, so these waves, they may cause tremendous destruction. An earthquake, a volcanic eruption, or underwater landslides can shift large amount of ocean water. Okay, so these are another causes for the ocean water shift. First one is earthquake, then volcanic eruption, and also underwater landslides. Okay, so these can shift large amount of ocean water. As a result, huge tidal waves called tsunami. Okay, so due to this, tsunami happens. Okay, what is tsunami? Tsunami is a Japanese word that means harbor waves, as the harbors get destroyed when the tsunami when there is a tsunami. So tsunami is a Japanese word. Okay, so it's a big wave. Okay, that may be as high as 15 meter. Okay, a tsunami is a wave, it's a tidal wave, and its height may be 15 meter. The largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meter high. Okay, so the largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meter high. These waves travel at a speed of more than 700 km per hour. Okay, so these waves can travel at a speed of more than 700 km per hour. That means it's very strong speed. The tsunami of 2004 caused widespread damage in the coastal areas of India. So the 2000 tsunami, we know it caused a widespread damage in India, especially in the south and southeast India. The Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands got submerged after the tsunami. Okay, so the Indira Point submerged on that time. Okay. Now, so first we discussed about waves. There are three types of ocean movements. First one is waves. Second one is tide. Look at this tides. The rhythmic rise and fall of ocean water twice in a day. Okay, so the rhythmic rise and fall of the ocean water twice in a day is called tide. It is high tide when water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. Okay, so what is a high tide? When the water covers much of the shore. Okay, the water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. That is called a high tide. Now, it is low tide when water falls to its lowest level and recedes from the shore. Okay, when the water falls and they recedes from the shore, that is called a low tide. Okay, high tide means when the water covers much of the shore by rising to its highest level. It rises to highest level, that is called a high tide. And low tide means when the water falls to its lowest level and recedes from the shore. What is the cause of these tides? The strong gravitational pull exerted by the sun and the moon on the earth's surface causes the tide. So what is the cause for the tide? First, the main cause is strong gravitational pull exerted by sun and moon. The water of the earth closer to the moon gets pulled under the influence of moon's gravitational force. Okay, so the water of the earth closer to the moon's get pulled under the influence of moon's gravitational force and causes high tide. Look at this picture. This is earth, this is sun, and this is moon. Okay, now the moon's gravitational pull is on this side. Okay, moon's gravitational pull on this side. So the water goes to this side. Okay, and this is high tide time. Sorry, this is neap tide. Now, during the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in the same line. Okay, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in the same line, and the tides are highest. Okay, look at this picture. The sun, the moon, and the earth. Okay, sun, moon, earth. They are in the same line. Okay, they are in the same way. So here sun, here moon, and the earth. So during the full moon and new moon days, the sun, the moon, and the earth are in the same line, and the tides are highest. Okay, because the moon and sun equally pull the tides or pull its gravitational force. So the water came to this area. These tides are called spring tides. Okay, so these tides are called spring tides. Here again, the sun, earth, moon. So they are in the straight line. Okay, so the sun pulls to this side and the moon pushes to this side. Okay, so that's why the spring tide. Now, but when the moon is in its first and last quarter, okay, so the moon is in its first and last quarter, the ocean water gets drawn in diagonally opposite direction by gravitational pull of the sun and earth, resulting in low tides. Okay, so look at this picture here. Sun, the earth, the moon. They are not in a linear way. So the moon pulls to this way, but the same pull was from here, from the sun. Okay, so the resulting tide was very low. Okay, so that is called neap tides. Okay, so spring tide is high tides and neap tide is low tides. Okay, just remember that only. Now, high tides help in navigation. So high tides help in navigation. They raise the water level close to the shores. Okay, so these high tides raise the water level and close to the shores. Okay, so it's easy to ships for reach the shore. This helps in ships to arrive at the harbor more easily. The high tides also help in fishing. Many more fish come closer to the shore during the high tide. Okay, so this time or the high tide, when the high tide happened, the fish may came to the shore. So this helps fishermen also. The rise and fall of water due to the tide is being used to generate electricity in some places. So in some places, the rise and fall of the water or rise and fall of the tides may used to generate electricity. Okay, so there are many use for the tides. Okay, the first one is easy for the ships. Okay, it helps ship to reach the harbor. And second one is helps for fishing. And third one is it helps to generate electricity in some places. Okay, so that are the uses of tides or high tides. Now, and we discussed about waves and tides. The last one is currents or ocean currents. Ocean currents are streams of water flowing constantly on the ocean surface in definite directions. Okay, so what is an ocean current? Ocean currents are streams of water that flowing constantly on the ocean surface in definite direction. The ocean currents may be warm or cold. Okay, so ocean currents may be warm or cold. Generally, the warm ocean currents originate near the equator. Okay, so generally the warm ocean currents originate near the equator and move towards the pole. The cold currents carry water from polar or higher latitudes. Okay, so normally the warm ocean current originate near equator and move towards poles, and the polar or the higher latitudes current or higher latitude contains cold currents, and they came to the tropical or lower latitudes. Okay, the Labrador current or Labrador ocean current is cold current, while the Gulf Stream is warm current. Okay, so Labrador current is cold and the Gulf Stream is warm. Now, the ocean current influences in the temperature condition of the area. So, the ocean currents affected the or it influenced the temperature of that area. Warm currents bring about warm temperature over land surface. So, warm current bring warm temperature over the land surface. The areas where the warm and cold current meets provide the best fishing grounds of the world. So this is important. Okay, so the area where the warm and cold currents meet. Okay, so that is good for the fishing industry. Warm and cold current meet. It's good for the fishing industry. Now, seas around Japan and eastern coast of North America. Okay, so seas around Japan and the eastern coast of North America are such examples. Okay, they provide best fishing grounds. The areas where a warm and cold current meets also experience foggy weather. Okay, so when the warm current and cold current meets, then it experiences a foggy weather and it making it difficult for navigation. Okay, so in that place the navigation was very difficult. Okay, so that is the ocean currents. So we discussed about three types of ocean movement. The first ocean circulation. First one is waves. What is waves? Waves are ocean when the water of the ocean rises and falls alternatively. Okay, so that is called waves. Okay, sometimes the waves are very big and that waves are called, or that tidal waves are called tsunami. The normal height or the height of tsunami may be 15 meter. The largest tsunami was 150 meter height. Okay, so that is waves. The second one is tides. What is the tides? It's a rise and fall of ocean water twice in a day. Okay, twice in a day. Okay, twice in a day. That is called tides. Now, it is high tide when water covers much of the shores by rising to highest level. Now, when low tide happens, the water falls to and it recedes from the shore. And there are two types of tides. The first one is spring tide and second one is leap tide. Spring tide means high tides. Okay, the tides are highest. Now, leap tide means the tides are lowest. Okay, what is the condition for spring tide? The sun, the moon and the earth are in a straight line. Okay, then it is spring tide. Now, what are the useful for tides? First one, the tides helps in navigation. Then they helps the especially they helps the ships to arrival in the harbor. And second one is they helps of fishing. And final one is they can generate electricity in some places. And last one is ocean currents. Okay, generally there are two types of currents: warm and cold current. For example, Labrador ocean current is cold current and Gulf Stream is warm current. Okay, so that's all about this chapter. If you have any doubts, you can contact us or you can comment below. For more videos, do like, share, subscribe.